This is USVI News, your Virgin Islands connection.
Hi, everyone. Thanks so much for joining us for USVI News. I'm Emily Matson. As we enter the peak hurricane season for the Virgin Islands, the VI Territorial Emergency Management Agency, or VITEMA, is keeping a close eye on storms in the Atlantic. They're watching a few right now, and VITEMA's director has an update on one storm in particular, which could affect the territory.
There are 3 tropical disturbances currently in the Atlantic Ocean. Disturbance number 1 is a broad area of low pressure over the central tropical Atlantic, known as Invest 91 Lima, if you're tracking. It's producing a large area of disorganized cloudiness and showers. Although environmental conditions are only marginally favorable, some gradual development of the system is expected over the next several days, and a tropical depression is likely to form later this week. The disturbance is forecast to move slowly towards the west and then west-northwest at 5 to 10 miles per hour toward the adjacent waters of the northern Leeward Islands. My team is watching Invest 91 Lima closely, and according to our discussion with the National Weather Service in Puerto Rico, the current track will pass on Friday or Saturday approximately 350 miles northeast of St. John and may produce some impact from ocean swells. It is still too early to provide any details on anticipated winds or rainfall accumulations, but some rainfall is anticipated.
And Jashin says the formation chance for this tropical disturbance through the next 4 days is high, or 80%, so residents should prepare for the tropical system to pass again about 350 miles northeast of St. John on Friday or Saturday. Our USVI meteorologist, AJ Mastrangelo, says while it is still early, as of now, it appears the storm is going to track offshore. We'll keep you posted. A federal grand jury has indicted a former St. Thomas High School coach with 20 counts of child exploitation. 51-year-old Alfredo Bruce Smith is charged with 20 charges, including production of child pornography, coercion and enticement, and transportation of a minor for illegal sexual activity. Smith was also charged with Virgin Islands sexual offenses, including aggravated rape. The charges stem from various incidents involving at least 7 kids between January 2014 and 2020, when Smith worked as a track coach and school monitor at Charlotte Amalie High School, according to investigators. As part of a Homeland Security investigation which started in 2021, investigators say Smith's social media and cell phones revealed dozens of images of child pornography, many of which depicted sex acts occurring at Charlotte Amalie High School. If convicted, Smith faces a possible sentence of life in prison. VIPD is currently hosting the Federal Law Enforcement Training Center for the first time in the territory. The VIPD Training Bureau is hosting a 2-week use of force instructor training class at the UVI Sports and Fitness Center. VIPD officers, along with local government, multi-agency law enforcement officers, are attending the training. Police Commissioner Ray Martinez said this training on use of force will help broaden the department's scope as it relates to use of force. The Use of Force Instructor Training Program is designed to give the instructor the skills necessary to teach others how to make objectively reasonable force choices and be able to explain the reasons for their decisions. The training started on August 22nd and ends on September 2nd. An Estate Nazareth man is arrested for assault. Police say he attacked a man with conch shells. 51-year-old Louis Vaccaro is charged with assault and disturbance of the peace. Police say on June 11th, a man watched Vaccaro, who is his landlord's son, remove a battery from underneath the hood of another tenant's vehicle. Police say that man approached Vaccaro and asked if he had permission to do so. Vaccaro said no, and the other man called for another tenant to call 911. Police say that's when Vaccaro got angry and assaulted the victim with several conch shells, causing cuts and contusions to his legs. After VIPD issued a wanted poster, Vaccaro turned himself into police this week. Also in St. Thomas, a man's arrested for domestic violence assault. Police say he punched a former female acquaintance in the face. 34-year-old Elisib Valles Marcial is facing simple assault charges. Police say he punched the woman several times. Because it's a domestic violence case, he's sitting in jail without bond. And a St. Thomas woman's arrested for fraudulent banking scheme. Police say she's facing grand larceny charges. 30-year-old Simone Ray is facing charges including drawing and delivering worthless checks and grand larceny. The detectives from the Economic Crime Unit started an investigation back in February, and they uncovered Ray deposited 3 fraudulent checks last December from her fraudulent Chase account into her Banco Popular account in Red Hook and online. Ray then allegedly withdrew the funds in between the clearing process, defrauding the bank of $19,150. Ray is in prison under a $55,000 bond. The Federal Trade Commission is issuing a warning about scammers possibly using the recent news about student loan forgiveness as bait. So here are some tips from the Better Business Bureau to protect yourself.
Unsolicited calls, texts, emails, and fraudulent websites. It's how scammers will likely use the latest news about student loan forgiveness to bait new victims.
Scammers will promise fast forgiveness, whether it is additional benefits, faster benefits, erasing your student debt. All of those are empty promises that will lead to an empty pocketbook.
The Better Business Bureau is bracing for a spike in calls and reports after the Federal Trade Commission issued a consumer alert about potential scams involving student loans. Last Wednesday, President Joe Biden announced a plan to address student loan debt, including debt forgiveness for certain borrowers. The BBB says scammers may use the news to try to defraud borrowers who are looking for eligibility information.
It's important to know that the government is not allowed to call you about your student loan unless you've given permission.
The Better Business Bureau has these tips to protect yourself. First, understand these government programs are free to sign up for, and anyone offering you help for a fee is a red flag. Number 2, know the ins and outs of your student loan. Know the terms and don't fall for it if a scammer promises you benefits the government or your loan provider hasn't already offered you. Number 3, do your research. Look up the lender or company reaching out to you to find out if there's a scam artist on the other end of the line. Number 4, look twice before you click. The BBB says some imposters often create look-alike government websites, so pay attention to the URL. And finally, protect your private data. Don't give out your Social Security number, federal student aid ID, or any other personal information.
As summer starts to wind down, it may come as no surprise that a recent report released by the Department of Transportation shows the number of air travel complaints surged in June. Sam Brock breaks down the report for us.
This morning, with summer travel winding down, a new report reveals significant elevation in travel complaints. The Department of Transportation releasing a consumer report which found airline complaints soared to sky-high levels in June, up nearly 35% from May and almost 270% from before the pandemic. In the first 6 months of 2022 alone, there have been more complaints than all of 2019. The new numbers, no surprise for those who took to the skies this summer.
It has been the worst experience ever.
With airline reliability, or lack thereof, topping the list of gripes. The report zeroes in on which airlines were the most punctual. Alaska, Delta, and Hawaiian Airlines landed on time most often, though all were well below historic norms from the last 20 years. While Frontier, JetBlue, and Allegiant make up the bottom 3 with the highest rate of delays. Allegiant landing around 2 out of every 5 flights late. The airline telling us it continues to be impacted by an unprecedented labor shortage, adding they are actively working to mitigate the problem. On the cancellation front, American, Delta, and United all saw the highest cancellation rates this June, though they also offered the most flights. American and Delta tell us they have since improved their operations.
June was the worst month of the year when it comes to flight delays and cancellations. Now, I think things have improved significantly, but I think it really underscores just how bad things got with air travel.
One key tip ahead of the holiday travel boom, book early flights. The report finding those flights were about 25% more likely to be on time than those at the end of the day. And if you're caught in a travel nightmare with a delayed or canceled flight, be sure to ask the airline for compensation.
Everything is on the table, and it never hurts to ask.
Still, some hope for travelers heading into the fall. Many experts are expecting ticket prices to drop after the busy summer season. And of course, if you take to the road instead, gas prices are still falling. Good news for drivers over Labor Day weekend.